Hello and welcome all. I, along with my teammates Nikhita, Apoorv, and Saket, have tried to put in a brief you all about our case, how to build risk into a business model. Now, introducing the case, the key behind every successful business model innovation is how effectively they are able to manage risk. Companies such as Dell, Zara, Zipcar, MyFab, as described in the case article, have done the same thing. They understood and managed the risk return trade off in the design of their business model. All the works out there have, as of now, considered only the risk return policies, and none have able to challenge the all the work out there as of now in the business model innovation typically focuses on improving returns and have completely ignored the associated risk. Therefore, it is essential to know where in the value chain is the risk lying, whether it is in creating, supplying, or in the consuming side. Therefore, Therefore, it is essential to know where in the value chain is the risk lying, whether it is in the creating side or the supplying or the consuming of product and services, and how the business model will handle them. It is quite clear that any business model out there is subject to many risks, which may include demand, supply, technology, quality, asset utilization, and many other risks. So the question here is how a company innovates its business model throughout managing its risk, which will be explained by Nikita.
Everyone. Now, since Ashwani has given a brief introduction about how building risk into our business model, I will be moving further with an element of the business model, that is reducing risk, and then innovating with the business model. How can we reduce risk? An organization takes up three approaches to reduce risk. First is reducing the production commitment, which basically talks about that an organization should know about the variation in its demand that would that it has to forecast about its product. Now, the variation in demand was seen by Zara in its brand, which we have seen in the case that Zara, since it knows that the demand of its product would vary in its customer base, so it tries to come up with different apparels, different type of accessories every now and then, and though it is producing at a very high cost location, but still its transportation cost is also high, but since it's delivering its product at frequent basis, hence the variability in its demand is comparatively reduced. The second element that I would be talking about is gathering the relevant information. In our case, MyFab, that Ashwani has talked about, basically MyFab takes the information directly from the customer and then produces the customized product. So gathering the information directly from the customer gives us a relevant form of information which can be more authenticated while conducting or while innovating with our business model. And the third element is rewriting of the contracts. Rewriting of the contracts is being seen as reducing the risk. That is, we can rewrite the contract with our suppliers. In case a particular supplier is deemed to be more risk prone, then we can shift our contract. So the contract should be made on a flexible basis. Now, I would like to give an example of Live Oops, a business process outsourcing firm, which basically took an initiative of inviting the freelancers who are available at home at a defined period of time, any time in the day. They can come up and take up their assignments. The calls would be diverted to them, and in this way, the risk of non-attendance of calls or the inefficient utilization of the labor force at the business process outsourcing end could be reduced by rewriting the contracts in an efficient way. Now, the presentation would be taken further by Apoorv.
Thank you, Nikita, telling about the reducing risk. Now, I will be talking about the adding risk. Now, many people regard risk only as something to eliminate, but Robert Merton argues that companies create value by being better at managing risk than their competitors are. Now, the history of innovation demonstrates that quite a few companies have made money by taking on more risk, by changing the terms of their contracts with suppliers or customers. For example, Zipcar. Zipcar turned the traditional model of renting the cars on daily basis to hourly basis. They focus more on the customer demand of the on the hourly basis system rather than the daily basis system. This encouraged people to switch from taxis to Zipcar. The company's turnover gone up to $200 million. So we can see that after adding a risk, the companies can create a great revenue. Or if we take another example of Reliance Jio, today the news is filled with Jio's. The business model of Jio is such that they have transformed the prices of the net packs into very minimal amount. Now the customers can actually go up to a voice call free calling system, which enables them to call the customers free, and they have also reduced the charges of the net up to rupees 50. That is very minimal according to the net charges that are being paid by Vodafone or by Airtel. So we can see that Reliance has actually gone up to reducing the risk by adding the risk into their model, redesigning their model into something that has been generating great revenues for them as of now. Thank you.
Hi friends, as Apoorv has talked about the adding risk in a business model, now I would be talking about advantages, challenges and lesson learned through this case study. Now first, advantages are risk driven innovation is very much cheaper than the other forms of innovations. Second advantage is innovating products and technologies of innovation generates more and more ideas for the organization, which is very important for them to have new type of products and services which are very innovative. Now third advantage is risk driven innovation is relatively clear and credible. Estimates can be made of the potential benefits and cost from risk driven innovation. Now fourth point is don't need extensive experimentation and prototyping in identifying very powerful innovations. So these are the various advantages of risk driven innovation. Now I will be talking about the challenges. Now first very important challenge which is faced by the various organization is how to club the various, how to mold various business model into their culture. Now as business model and culture are very business cultures are very related to each other. So if a company wants to adopt a certain type of business model, then they need to mold it according to their organization culture. So it is a very frequent and very difficult kind of task and challenge for the organization to do it. Now the lessons that we have learned from this case study is to gain competitive advantage, it is very important for the organization to focus more on the managing risk for its stakeholders than to provide more focus on the different type of product and services provided by that type of organization.